Welcome into another new week of all things people, power, and politics on Detroit's only nightly political talk show. This is The Pulse. I'm Roop Raj. Voters have a lot to decide on tomorrow, and maybe you voted already, but we're making sure you're ready to hit the polls with a couple of big races that we're following right now. So toss that phone aside and let's go. You've heard of speed dating. We're introducing you to speed campaigning tonight on The Pulse. We're coining it right here. The Detroit mayoral candidates are making their last-minute pitches directly to you, the message they want you to remember before you vote. Plus, we're diving into the consequences of cuts at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The president of Detroit PBS, Rich Homburg, is in Studio C right now to talk about the impact at his station and what it means for viewers like you. But we begin once again with the humanitarian crisis happening in Gaza. Dozens of Palestinians were killed or hurt today as crowds headed toward food distribution points and airdrop parcels in the Gaza Strip. I should say. Israel's blockade and military have made it nearly impossible to safely deliver aid, as activists say Israel's measures to allow more aid in simply aren't good enough. As President Trump calls on Israel to get more food to civilians, adding America will foot the bill. But Israeli Prime Minister says Hamas isn't interested in a ceasefire and is turning to a military solution to free hostages and end the threat from the militant group. Take a listen.
Want Israel to get them fed. We're giving some pretty big contributions, basically to purchase food so the people can be fed.
We must continue to stand together and fight together to achieve the war goals we have set, all of them.
Hamas says it's willing to deliver Red Cross aid to the hostages if Israel permanently reopens its border crossings. We have a lot of political news we're covering right here in the U.S. So right now, let's pick up the pace and run through some of the big stories we're following at home. We'll begin here. Texas Democrats block a vote in the state house to redraw the state's congressional districts. You see, the proposal is backed by President Trump because he hopes to add 5 more GOP-leaning seats in Texas before the midterms. Dozens of Democrats left the state, which means the House couldn't establish a quorum to do business. House Republicans issued civil arrest warrants, but Democrats who aren't in the state aren't under the jurisdiction of state troopers. A new proposal from the State Department could make it unaffordable for visa applicants to enter the United States. The department says it'll start a pilot program where people from countries they say have high overstay rates could be required to post bonds of up to $15,000. The Trump administration's tightening requirements for those visa applicants. Last week, you may remember, the State Department announced many people trying to renew their visas will have to go through an in-person interview now. And this third story isn't satire. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is expected to announce expedited plans to build a nuclear reactor on the moon. That's according to Politico. It's his first major move by Duffy since becoming interim NASA administrator. Duffy also wants to accelerate the replacement of the International Space Station. The two moves could help boost U.S. efforts to reach the moon and also Mars. All right, to the race for mayor now in Detroit, because that is a huge issue we're following this year. The reason is the first time Detroit will elect a new leader since Mike Duggan was elected back in 2013. Now, you've probably heard he's not running this year because he's running for governor as an independent. So tonight, we wanted to give the candidates a unique chance to talk directly to you. Think of this as speed dating. We pick up the tab, though. We did Zooms with them, giving them each a minute to convince you to check their name at the ballot box. Now, these are airing in alphabetical order. Take a look.
Hi, I'm John Barlow, and I just want to say I love you, Detroit. I love you so much that I want to bring your property taxes down. I want to bring those water drainage fees down. I even want to make sure that our kids have the most safest routes and our homes and our communities don't have vacant land and blight anymore. Listen, I want to reach every family, and in order to do so, I need your support, and I need you to have my back. Tomorrow, August 5th, I need you to vote. I need you to get out your homes. I need you to make sure that you leave work right on time and make sure you get to those polls. If not, vote early. Because Detroit, we need a leader that cares, a leader that's not going to overlook everyone and includes everyone and gets them a seat at the table. Listen, I want to recreate family. I want to make Detroit community again. I want to bring the most money, jobs, and homes into the city. And I thank you for all your support, Detroit, and let's win.
I'm James Craig, former police chief here in the city of Detroit. I'm running as your next mayor and will be your next mayor. I'm the only candidate that has very distinct experience, executive level leadership experience. I'm talking not leading a couple of hundred people, but thousands of people. I've led that in 3 different departments. I've also handled very complex budgets. I also dealt with crisis management. So as your mayor, you got someone that's not an on-the-job training. You got someone that can continue to move our city in an upward trajectory, because that's what's got to happen. We got to keep this thing going. We got to make sure our city's financially healthy. We got to work with the public schools and turn that around. We've got to broaden our middle class. We've got to entice businesses, continue to entice businesses to come into our city. It's a heavy lift, but it has to be done with someone that has my skill set, my leadership. I love Detroit. Vote for me for mayor.
I'm Detroit City Council member Fred Durhal, and I'm running to be your next mayor of the city of Detroit. This Tuesday, August 5th, will be the most critical election for the city of Detroit in a generation. On Tuesday, you, the voters, will decide whether we continue to keep our momentum, build on our progress, and make Detroit the city we all dream for it to be. I want to be your mayor because I want to make Detroit a city for families again, with better neighborhoods, safe walkable streets, and access to everything you and your family needs, like fresh groceries, a doctor's office, and a pharmacy. I want to be your mayor because I want to create good paying jobs so you can support your family, grow small businesses, and also bring development to every neighborhood. I want to be the mayor of the city of Detroit so we can lower property taxes, build more affordable housing, create a path to home ownership, and expand commercial corridors that build a main street in every neighborhood. I also want to be your mayor so that we can help our students thrive in excellent schools and create a path for our children that leads to colleges and careers and not cages and caskets. We are asking for your vote because we have always delivered for Detroit. And whether that is as a former state representative or now as a member of Detroit City Council, we will continue to deliver. And together with your vote, we will make this city the world-class city we all know that it could be.
I'm Joel Hashim, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Detroit. We wanted to take this last opportunity to share with you to vote for Joel Hashim because Joel Hashim is the only candidate that's speaking about in building a diverse economy here in the city of Detroit. The only candidate that is speaking about the voters getting something for their vote, making sure that inclusion and procurement programs are set up, making sure that we address the issues of crime, housing, high insurance rates. Go to joelh4mayor.com. That's JOELH4 mayor.com. Read what Joel Hashim is going to do for the city of Detroit. I'm the only candidate that have done 15 international trade delegations to bring in business opportunities into the city of Detroit, as well as owning so many business solutions, owning so many companies. And so basically 54 years of domestic and international business.
I am Santil Jenkins, candidate for mayor. I have a lifetime of service to this city. I've been working on your behalf as a social worker, as the former city council president, and for over 10 years as the CEO of the Heat and Warmth Fund, keeping light, heat, and water on for struggling families across this community. Our next mayor has to have the experience and the heart for the people. I see you, Detroit. I'm asking for your vote, and together we can build a stronger city where no one and no neighborhood is left behind. My name is Santil Jenkins. I'm asking you to vote on Tuesday, August 5th, and together we can make our city stronger. Thank you.
I'm Solomon Kinlock Jr., and for the past 27 years, I have served as senior pastor of Triumph Church. In those 27 years, I have not sought to use my pulpit as a pedestal to lift myself, but for 27 years, I've used it as a platform to lift an entire community of people. I've taken direct action for the last 27 years, whether it was distributing thousands of laptops to children, whether it was distributing boxes of groceries so that families could have something to eat, whether it was exposing our young people to an environment outside of what they were able to see and experience every day. For 27 years, I have used my pulpit to take direct action without no one asking me to do it, but I did it because I care about the people in the city of Detroit. I'm asking you to vote me in as the next mayor of the city of Detroit. For 27 years, I've rocked with you. Give me the opportunity not to just rock as pastor, but give me an opportunity to rock as the next mayor of the city of Detroit. I'm Solomon Kinlock. Lift every block.
My name is Todd Perkins. I'm running for mayor of the city of Detroit, and I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote, and I'm asking you to have others vote. If we don't access our power, then we're giving it away, and that's just unacceptable. As a lawyer who's been fighting for the city, fighting for our people, fighting for a change in the status quo, I am your best option to do that. I am been dubbed the neighborhood mayor for a reason, because I believe in the neighborhoods. I live in the neighborhood, and I want to do better by the neighborhood. And I think that that's most important right now, that we need to have that voice. And I will make sure that I'm that voice for you, and I'm that voice for everyone, but definitely in our neighborhoods, because we desperately need it. And we need that attention, and we have the ability to do better. Vote Todd Perkins. Mayor, peace.
Hey, Detroit, I am Detroit City Council President Mary Sheffield, and for over a decade, I've been delivering real results for this city, fighting for affordable housing, safer neighborhoods, economic opportunity, and a city government that puts the people first. I have led with integrity, built coalitions, and stayed rooted in the community that I serve. And this campaign is about ensuring that we're building a Detroit that works for everyone, no matter their zip code, that you all have a chance to thrive. I believe that Detroit has yet to see its best days, that we can rise. I bring experience, a record of getting things done, and now I'm ready to ensure that we have affordable housing, youth investment, reliable transportation, strong schools, and that our city is safe. So I ask for your vote this upcoming Tuesday, August the 5th, to ensure that our city continues to rise higher.
If you're in Detroit, it's up to you. These are the folks who want your vote, and you got a chance to hear from them. Our full election coverage starts on Fox Local at 9 p.m. tomorrow. Then we'll be on Fox 2 with the news at 10, the Edge at 11, and a live edition of this show, The Pulse, at 11:30. Sam Robinson with Detroit 1 Million, Malachi Barrett with Bridge Detroit, and Oakland University political science professor Peter Trumbore will all be right here. You don't want to miss it. This is the home for politics. All right, we are turning to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting closure right after the break. It's fallout from the organization's funding being slashed. Rich Homburg with PBS Detroit on the impact we could see here and what you could do about all of this. You're watching The Pulse here on Fox 2. Back now on The Pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. Glad you're with us. Joining us now to talk about how cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting will impact all of us here at home, Detroit PBS President and CEO Rich Homburg. And Rich, it's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
It's always good to be with you.
So we always say this show is about you, and we mean it when we say that. In fact, we have some questions from viewers. So many of the questions that I have for Rich, you have for Rich. Let's just get right into some of the viewer questions. I think this first one from Ryan Law kind of sums up the big question that so many people have. Wait, so PBS is completely gone?
PBS isn't gone at all. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting was defunded by the federal government, and they will dissolve over time. PBS, the CPB would send us funds that we would then turn into membership at PBS. Know that the stations own PBS, not the other way around. And PBS will continue and the stations will continue, but we've taken a significant hit in funding, and we're gonna have to adjust to that. There's some changes, but PBS won't be gone, and Detroit PBS won't be gone at all, to be clear.
The challenges that this puts on your shoulders are immense, because like any business, you have to, balance budgets and figure out workforce and whatnot. Any shows immediately, any programming that we know of that we have to worry about, or is as we know PBS Detroit, that's how it will be?
I think we are fighting hard, and I think we're in a good position, and we are one determined group of people to hold on to everything that we built at Detroit PBS. And so there's challenges. We've lost about 15% of our funding, about $3 million out of a $20 million budget. But there's also the infrastructure and the systems that the CPB would bring to us that we're going to have to rebuild, and we'll do all that internally. And we think we can move through this. We need the public's help. Yes, we need your support. Yes, we need you to step up. And at the same time, we've spent a long time, 70 years, of building Detroit PBS. The American Black Journal wouldn't exist without it. Classical and jazz music. For 20 years, this was a town that didn't have a classical radio station. We brought that back.
Yeah, you did. And what a great place to bring it back, the place that let the country and the world hear the wonderful music that comes from this great town. And so PBS has a lot of pride, and PBS Detroit does, in making sure that continues. John, you have a question here on the Pulse for Rich Homburg with PBS. John, thanks for your question. What will happen to the broadcast licenses? How will it impact universities like CMU, who have extensive presence across the state? And I know I went to Michigan State, where they also had a great presence there of PBS. What happens there?
And so we're what's called a community license station. We are owned by the people of Detroit. We're locally owned and we're locally governed, and we serve 4 million people in Southeast Michigan. Every city in the state has a PBS station, every major city. So you've got Grand Rapids and Lansing and Central and Saginaw and the Upper Peninsula. They're housed at universities, and that's the good news and the bad news, the challenges of finding those dollars. But I think they're incredible stations. Grand Valley State has done a fabulous job of lighting up their station. And so there'll be challenges, but we'll work through them. But the bigger challenge at, say, Northern or Central, where we have one transmitter, they've got 5. They've got to cover a vast geography. And the pain for those stations will be tougher, and they'll have to fight through. So rural stations will be challenged, but our ability to serve in education the way we do, we built the Michigan Learning Channel, the first of its kind, 24-hour day, 7-day a week, kids channel, parents channel, getting kids ready for school and life. Every station in the state carries the channel. We work together on it to engage the public, to engage the education community. It's the first of its kind in the country, and it's brought us together. We are a great cohort of stations here.
I hear you say that the rural stations could be hurt more. It smacks so true of Medicaid cuts as well, when people say the rural folks will get hurt, because oftentimes you have an important function that is being served in rural communities with fewer resources, and that's something that you're seeing across the board. So we hope that
technically a much higher percentage. For us, it's about 15%. For some stations, it can be 40% of their funding, and smaller populations, lots more technology, and so rural stations will have a bigger challenge.
And a larger footprint as well. Georgia has a question about foundations. This is an interesting one because we often hear about the foundations. What about the millions William Swift Foundation put into the station? Is that gone too?
It's not gone. We're very, very careful with money. And Bill Smith, an amazing, amazing Detroiter, he's so representative of the people who have funded the station. The Smith family has funded us very significantly over the years. And Bill was an incredible Detroiter. He did a wonderful job, built his business in Detroit, and loved the station and said, I want to help you. And so we're very careful with money. I'm pretty cheap. I'm pretty tight with the buck, because we should be. And so it's funny because we talked to the Smith family just recently, and they're very excited about where the station's going and have invested in us.
This is great that you're here to answer these questions. And by the way, we're getting a lot of questions about PBS. There's great interest in this institution. Lee Williams Joy, you have a question here on the Pulse. Thanks for writing in. What happens to all the disadvantaged children and individuals? How does society now stay informed across the country? And I think he's kind of making a statement in his question by saying how important PBS is for kids, right?
The role we play, every day I bump into parents who are like, we raised our kids with PBS. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then about 10 years ago, we doubled down and got very invested in the education piece and built the Michigan Learning Channel. So every Michigander has access, free, over the air and on all kinds of platforms, to a 24-hour day, 7-day a week education channel to get their kids ready for school and ready for life. And it has been a marvelous success, and it has been just a wonderful experience. But we're going to keep that going. We have to fight hard.
Yeah.
We say you got to embrace your potential, and then you've got to meet the challenge.
Yeah.
And our staff's working hard to meet the challenge. And now let's imagine, think about where Detroit is. We live in, do you know about TMICIA? We live in the most important city in America. Detroit,
I love that.
Flat out, right?
I love that.
And you think about the energy coming out of our town. How do we amplify the arts and culture community? How do we tell the story of Detroit? But how do we get our kids ready for school and life? That's the challenges that we take on.
And the challenge is also the success. When Detroit works, America works, because as you say, the institutions that work well here model so much for the rest of the country.
Ken Burns is coming to the fall. We had Henry Louis Gates in the spring. Ken Burns is coming to the fall. And we kid the folks at PBS. You want to understand this country? you come to Detroit.
Well, that's a great point. We only have a quick second here left, but I wanted to ask you, what can people at home do to help? Obviously,
First, become a member.
Yeah.
And then if there's an opportunity for us to talk to you about a larger commitment, we acquired a building, 234 Paquette, a spectacular building that we're going to build out in Detroit. Just a marvelous, 50,000 square feet, 120 parking spots at the corner of 75 and 94. Let's build it and let's get going.
Well, Rich, I thank you for your time. I started when I was 15 years old doing volunteer work on a show called Club Connect, which was a kids show at Detroit PBS. And I'm just so glad to see that there is a continuation of that tradition. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thanks for making the time.
Appreciate you, Rich, as always. We're getting you up to speed with some of the other big stories that happened over the weekend, including changes coming to America's vaccination policy. You're watching The Pulse here on Fox 2. It is people, power, and politics. Welcome back to Detroit's only nightly political talk show. This is The Pulse. Hopefully you were able to have a nice chill weekend. I know we did. Maybe you even took a break and disconnected from the world. Not a bad idea. But if you did, we're getting you caught up on some of the big stories that happened over the weekend. So in case you missed it, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. shakes up his vaccine policy again. You'll remember he's fired members of the Vaccine Advisory Committee and banned outside experts from working with the CDC on vaccine recommendations. Now he signed off on a ban on a substance called thimerosal. That's a mercury-based preservative used in American-made vaccines. He claims it's been linked to miscarriages and autism in kids, but most scientists say there's no link between that preservative and autism. Kennedy says the move is common sense, while Democrats want an investigation into this vaccine policy.
Regulators should never have allowed mercury in any vaccine, especially those given to children. They had the science, but they chose to ignore it. For 20 years, I've been battling to get mercury out of vaccines.
There have been persistent falsehoods about vaccines continuing to harm our communities, and this misinformation is not only driving down vaccination rates, it's compromising research into the very harms that we need to prevent.
Kennedy also hinted he's considering putting restrictions on future vaccine recommendations, including COVID and the flu. And finally tonight to Capitol Hill, where President Trump is frustrated, well, I should say was frustrated with senators as they headed home for recess. Both sides were trying to work out a deal. Democrats wanted the White House to unfreeze cash for programs like the National Institutes of Health and foreign aid. In return, they said they'd approve several of the president's nominees that aren't controversial. The president compared it to political extortion and told Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to, quote, go to hell. Schumer claims Trump is the one who halted negotiations, while some Republicans are considering changing Senate rules to speed up the confirmation process.
Bottom line is, we were getting close on a whole lot of issues, and Donald Trump just pulled the rug out from under people. And even before that, when it looked like we were getting close a day before, he again called in and screwed it all up. They should stop listening to him.
This is historic and unprecedented obstruction when it comes to allowing someone who has been elected by the people of this country in a fairly significant, I would argue, mandate, an election, to get their person in place to do the jobs that the American people elected that president, President Trump, to do.
The Senate was able to rapid fire approve 7 nominees. And with that, you're all caught up. That is The Pulse for tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Roop Raj. As always, it was great to be with you on this Monday.